The longing for a revival is birthed in the heart of God's people when they consider the former glories. We have heard, O Lord, what has happened in previous generations. Perhaps in this country of the United Kingdom, you've heard about things that took place. Maybe for new Christians, you've heard about the outpouring of the Spirit in 1994, or the birthing of the charismatic movement in the 1960s and 1970s, or the Pentecostal outpouring at the beginning of the last century, 1905, 1906, and the early wave of the Spirit of healings through the Jeffreys brothers as Elim and the Assemblies of God, Smith Wigglesworth and other Pentecostal pioneers began to make an impact upon the nation. Maybe you've read about the historic revivals in Wales or in America. The Great Awakening took place both sides of the Atlantic. Or you've read about revivals that have taken place in localized situations. Psalm 85 looks back to former glories in Israel. Lord, you were favourable to your land. You restored the fortunes of Jacob. You forgave the iniquity of your people. You covered all their sins. And you withdrew your wrath, and you turned from your hot anger. Restore us again, O God of our salvation, and put away your indignation. There's a sense of we had something, but it's cooled. And normal life has set in. And spiritual drift has come in. The next generation don't feel it. They're just going through the formalities, or they've drifted outside the church and they've lost the passion for God. Revive us, restore us. Come again, O God. Do again what we have heard in the past. There are lessons to be learned, you know, in times like this. Verse 8 and 9. Let me hear what God the Lord will speak. Sometimes we just need to be quiet and say, God, what's going on? How should we pray? How should we pray about what we see taking place in our nation? A nation that's been favoured by God in the past, but now seems to be moving further and further away from God and godly values. Let's listen to what the voice of the Lord will say. Verse 10, steadfast love and faithfulness meet, righteousness and peace kiss one another. During the Welsh revival, there was a great hymn, Here is Love, that included these lines, or paraphrase of these lines: heaven's peace and perfect justice kissed a guilty world in love. And many people experience this, a great sense of God's justice and their desert of judgment, and yet God coming through the cross of Jesus, bringing enormous release from guilt and sweeping them into the kingdom of heaven. We pray in our day that many will have a sense of God's justice and his mercy, and they will know these things aren't in contradiction, but they work together to produce a deep and lasting change in people's lives and hearts as they lead to salvation. Yes, Lord, the Lord will give what is good, and our land will yield its increase. Righteousness will go before him and make his footsteps a way. How encouraging to end on a note of positive expectation. What God has done, he can do again. What he does for his glory and for the welfare of his people. Let's keep in prayer. Your kingdom come, your will be done. Restore us, revive us, O Lord our God.